galaxy was broken after the Great War, worlds had burned, stars had fallen silent, and human voices had become fewer and fewer. Now only small colonies of survivors drifted among the stars, looking for a way to live again. Among these survivors was one man, chosen not for his strength, but for his will to carry the future. He arrived on a distant planet, guided by soldiers and scientists who whispered of destiny. The planet was called Arian, a world filled with strange light and silver skies. It was not Earth, but it carried the weight of survival on its surface. The man stepped down from his ship and felt the ground beneath him, warm, almost alive. He knew this was not just a mission, it was a test. The Council of Arian was waiting for him, their tall figures dressed in robes of dark blue. Behind them stood two alien sisters, both silent, both staring at him with eyes that seemed to know his soul. The council leader spoke slowly, his voice sharp like a blade. "Human, the war has left your kind broken. To rebuild, you must choose one of these sisters, one only, and with her, you will carry the seed of life into the next age." The man's chest grew heavy. He looked at the sisters, and he felt the weight of the words. They were not just strangers. They were to be his companions, his partners in the survival of his kind. But why only one, he thought? Why must the other be left behind? The first sister stepped forward, her skin glowing faintly with golden light. Her voice was soft but strong. "I am Lyra. I carry the strength of my people. I can fight for you. I can protect you. I will not let harm come to what we build." Her eyes shone like fire, filled with courage. The man felt her presence like a shield, unbreakable. Then the second sister spoke, her skin pale silver, her voice like a song carried by the wind. "I am Selene. I carry the knowledge of my people. I can guide you. I can heal. I can show you paths unseen. With me, you will not lose your way." Her eyes were calm, filled with wisdom and sorrow. The man felt her presence like water, flowing and endless. The council leader raised his staff. "You may not hesitate. You must choose one, for only one can walk with you, and only one can bring the future of your race. If you try to take both, you will bring ruin." The words echoed in the hall, cold and final, but in the silence that followed, the man saw something strange. The sisters, though different, looked at each other with pain. It was as if they were bound by more than blood, as if they shared a secret that the council wanted to hide. He studied them carefully. Lyra's hands trembled slightly, as if holding back truth. Selene's eyes flickered, almost pleading. The man's heart beat faster. He felt that the choice was not simple. He felt that behind the command of the council there was a shadow. Why could he not choose both? Why was it forbidden? Why did the council look afraid whenever the sisters glanced at one another? The man stood in silence. He was told to make his choice quickly, but he felt the air around him heavy, as if the world itself was waiting. The hall was filled with the sound of hearts beating, not just his own, but the sisters too. The council grew impatient, tapping their staffs, watching him like hunters watch prey. At that moment, a thought came to him. Perhaps the choice was never about survival, perhaps it was about control. If he chose one, the other would fade into silence, and the council would keep their power. But if he defied them, if he chose both, maybe the truth would rise. He turned his gaze once more to Lyra and Selene. He could feel their hope and fear mixed together. They wanted him to see what no one else could see. They wanted him to break the rule, but he could not. Not until he understood more. The council leader stepped forward, his shadow covering the man. "Decide now," he said, his tone sharp with hidden anger. The man clenched his fists. Every instinct told him this was not only a choice of partners, but a choice of freedom. The sisters stood side by side, one burning like the sun, the other glowing like the moon. Two halves of something greater, two secrets waiting to be unlocked. The man's mind spun, his heart pounded. Could he risk the wrath of the council, or should he obey? The hall grew darker as if the world itself held its breath. Every eye was on him. Every whisper of destiny circled in his mind. He knew that the choice he made here would change not only his life, but the future of humankind. The words of the council, the silence of the sisters, the pull of his heart, all clashed together, and in that moment he understood one thing clearly. This was not about choosing one or the other. This was about breaking a chain that had been forged long before he arrived. But he stayed silent, holding back his decision. He let the council believe he was still undecided. Inside his mind, however, he already knew he would never choose only one. He would choose both, and whatever truth came with them. The hall echoed with the pounding of the staff again. The leader's voice thundered, "Choose now, human." The man raised his head, his eyes locked on the sisters, and though he did not speak yet, deep inside his path was clear. The impossible choice was not impossible at all. It was only forbidden, and forbidden things often hid the greatest truths. The night on Arian was not like any other night he had known. The sky glowed with rivers of light, silver and blue, flowing across the heavens as if the stars themselves were alive. The man could not sleep. His heart was heavy with the impossible choice that still hung over him. He walked through the alien city, silent streets lined with tall crystal towers, the air humming softly as though the planet itself was whispering. He thought of the two sisters, Lyra and Celine. Their faces would not leave his mind. Their voices echoed in his memory, one strong like fire, the other calm like water. He had been told to choose only one, but he felt something deeper, something unspoken. There was a story hidden beneath their eyes, and he knew he must discover it. As he walked, he noticed shadows moving. Two figures waited for him at the edge of the city, cloaked in silence. It was the sisters. Lyra's golden glow was faint under the night sky, and Celine's silver light shimmered like a ghost. They had come to him secretly, away from the eyes of the council. "Why are you here?" he asked, his voice low. Celine stepped forward first, her tone soft but urgent. "We must speak, human, before you make your choice. There are truths the council has hidden, and you must know them." Lyra looked around, watching the shadows as if expecting someone to follow. Her voice carried strength but also fear. "The council does not want you to know our past. They do not want you to see who we really are." The man's heart tightened. He had felt this from the beginning. The council was afraid of something, and that fear was tied to these sisters. He nodded slowly. "Tell me everything." They led him beyond the walls of the city, across fields that glowed with strange flowers. The air smelled sweet, heavy with energy. At last, they reached a ruined temple, old and broken, half buried in the ground. Symbols glowed faintly on the stones, spirals and stars that pulsed with light. "This is where we were born," Celine said, her hand touching the old carvings, her silver eyes softened, filled with sadness. "We are not like others of our kind. We were created, not born, shaped in this temple by four." She's older than the council itself. Lyra clenched her fists, her golden light flickering. "The council fears us because together we are something they cannot control. They tell you to choose one because they want to keep us divided. They want to weaken us, to hide the truth of what we are." The man stepped closer, tracing the symbols on the walls. The carvings glowed brighter as his fingers touched them, as if the stones recognized his presence. "What truth?" he whispered, his voice caught between fear and wonder. The sisters looked at each other, their bond deeper than words. Celine spoke first. "We were created to protect humanity, not to replace it. The ancients who built this place foresaw the war. They knew humans would need guardians, two forces united, one of strength, one of wisdom." Lyra's voice thundered softly in the quiet night. "But the council twisted that destiny. They turned us into tools, and they told lies so we could never stand together. They feared what we could awaken if we were joined." The man felt the ground tremble faintly beneath his feet, as if the planet itself responded to the sisters' words. A hidden power stirred around them, waiting, listening. He could feel it in his bones. "Why me?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. "Why must I choose? Why not someone else?" Celine's eyes glimmered with sorrow. "Because your blood carries the spark of the ancients. You are not just any human. You are the last with the key, the bond that can unite us. Without you, we remain broken, divided, and powerless." The man froze, his chest heavy. He was not only a survivor, he was chosen for something far greater. But why had no one told him? Why had the council hidden this from him? Lyra stepped forward, her golden hand touching his shoulder. "You feel it, don't you, the pull between us, the truth that choosing one is not enough. You are meant for both, for us together. Only then, Wimon." All the chains break. The man's heart raced. He did feel it. A strange energy whenever he looked at both sisters. It was like two pieces of a puzzle calling to each other, and he was the final piece, the one who could bring them into unity. A sudden noise broke the moment. From the shadows of the ruined temple, a bright flash of light appeared. Council guards had followed, tall figures in dark armor, carrying staffs of burning energy. Their voices boomed. "Step away from them, human. They are forbidden." The sisters pulled him back quickly, their eyes burning with defiance. Lyra raised her arm, golden fire flickering from her skin. Celine whispered ancient words. The ruins around them began to glow brighter. The guards moved closer, shouting warnings, but the sisters stood strong. For the first time, the man saw them as they truly were. Not prisoners of rules, but guardians of a power far older than the council's lies. He understood now. The choice was never about survival alone. It was about unlocking a bond that could reshape the fate of both humanity and the alien world. The council feared the past, feared the power that lay within these two sisters. But the man no longer feared it. He knew the hidden past was not a curse but a key. As the ruins shook and the guards closed in, the man whispered the words the council never wanted to hear. "I will not choose one. I will choose both." The sisters turned to him, their eyes glowing brighter than ever before, and the ruins answered, the ancient symbols blazing with light. The ground opened beneath them, revealing a stairway leading deep into the planet's core. The hidden past was no longer hidden, it was awakening. The stairway opened like the mouth of the world, glowing with blue fire along its edges. The man, Lyra, and Celine hurried down into the dark, leaving the angry shouts of the guards behind them. The air grew colder as they descended, filled with dust and echoes, as if thousands of voices whispered from the stone itself. The man felt his skin prickle, every step pulling him deeper into something older than any council, older than even the war. At last, they reached a wide chamber, carved in circles, its walls glowing with the same symbols from the temple above. Strange machines slept in the corners, covered in vines of crystal that pulsed faintly, like veins carrying light instead of blood. The sisters stopped, their eyes wide, as if they had returned to a place they had long feared. "This is the core of our beginning," Celine whispered, her voice trembling. "It is here the ancients gave us life. It is here the council swore to keep us from ever returning." The man touched one of the machines, feeling its hum under his palm. It was alive, waiting, watching, and as he pressed his hand against it, the machine lit brighter, responding to him as if he were its master. Lyra's golden eyes flared. "It recognizes you, just as we said. You are the one meant to awaken what has been buried." But before he could speak, the chamber filled with an eerie sound. The whispering voices grew louder, curling around his ears like smoke. They were not human voices, nor alien, but something between. Some words were clear, others broken. Yet one message struck his heart like a knife. "Do not trust them," the whisper said. "They will betray you." The man froze, his breath caught. He looked at the sisters, but they did not react. It was as if he alone could hear the warning. Celine turned to him, her silver hair glowing under the chamber light. "What is wrong?" she asked softly, but her voice carried weight, like she knew something. He did not answer at once, his mind spinning. The whispers came again, clearer this time. "The council lies, but so do they. You are not the savior. You are the key, and keys are made to be used." His chest grew heavy, doubt creeping in. Had the sisters told him everything, or had they only told him enough to win his trust? Was he truly their chosen bond, or simply a tool? He clenched his fists, trying to shake the voices, but the words stuck like poison. Lyra noticed his unease, her voice sharp. "What did you hear?" The man hesitated, staring at her. Could he tell them, or would that only make things worse? If they knew the whispers warned him against them, what would they do? Celine stepped closer, her eyes softer, but no less dangerous. "Voices live in this place," she said. "They are the echoes of the ancients. They test you, they twist truth and lies together. You must not let them take root in your mind." But her words did not calm him. They only raised more questions. Why did the whispers speak only to him? Why did they accuse the sisters as much as the council? And why did Celine know so quickly what he had heard? The chamber trembled suddenly, dust falling from the ceiling. The machines around them stirred, their crystal vines glowing brighter. A low rumble filled the air, as if something deep below had awakened. Lyra pulled him back, shouting, "The guards must have followed. They are breaking through the temple above. We must move deeper." They ran through a passage that opened at the far end of the chamber. The tunnel twisted like a serpent, narrow and dark. The whispers followed, softer now but still there. "Do not choose both. Do not unite them. One carries light, the other carries shadow. Together they will burn you." The man's heart pounded harder. The words refused to leave his mind. He looked at Elle, Ira's strong golden figure leading the way. He looked at Celine's silver glow close beside him. Could one of them be lying? Could both be dangerous? The tunnel ended at another chamber, this one filled with water that glowed from beneath. An underground lake spread before them, rippling with light. In the center stood a stone platform, rising just above the water, marked with the same ancient symbols. Celine placed her hand on the water, her voice soft, almost singing. "This place is truth. Only those who carry the spark can stand on the stone. If you step there, your path will be revealed." The man hesitated. The whispers screamed inside his head. "Do not step. Do not trust. If you stand there, they will bind you forever." He looked at the sisters, both waiting, both watching him, their faces unreadable, their eyes deep with hope, sorrow, and something else he could not name. Slowly, he walked across the glowing water, his steps light, yet each one felt heavier than the last. When he reached the platform, the symbols flared bright, burning with white fire. The water surged, rising around him, forming walls of light. The sisters stepped back, shielding their eyes. The whispers turned to screams. "Betrayal, betrayal, they will use you." They will break you." But along with the screams came another voice, softer, stronger. "You are the bridge. Without you, all will fall. Do not turn away." The man's body shook, torn between the voices. The sisters cried out, calling his name, but their words were lost in the roar of light. Images flashed before him, visions of futures broken and futures whole. He saw himself with Lyra, strong but lonely. He saw himself with Celine, wise but weak. And then he saw himself with both, power unbound, yet danger rising. The light faded suddenly, the chamber falling silent. He stumbled back, breathing hard, his heart racing. The sisters rushed to him, fear in their eyes. "What did you see?" Celine asked, her voice desperate. But he did not answer. Not yet, because deep inside, the why spurs still echoed, and he could not escape their warning. Trust no one, not even them. The council chamber was silent, yet the silence was heavy with danger. The man stood in the center, his body still trembling from the visions in the underground lake. Lyra and Celine stood at his sides, their golden and silver lights flickering like flames in the dark. The council members towered above them, their eyes sharp, their staffs glowing with power. The leader's voice cut through the silence. "You have delayed long enough, human. The time for secrets and wandering has ended. You will choose one sister now, and only one." The man's heart thundered inside his chest. He remembered the whispers that warned him, the visions that showed him different futures. One path with Lyra, full of strength but shadowed by endless battles. One path with Celine, filled with wisdom but weakened by doubt. And the path with both, bright yet dangerous, powerful yet forbidden. He looked at the council, their faces hidden in the dim light. He remembered their lies, their fear of the sisters standing together. He remembered the temple, the machines that woke at his touch, the voices that tried to shake his trust. Everything inside him screamed that the rule was not for survival, but for control. Lyra stepped forward, her golden fire sparking in her hands. She whispered, her voice low but strong. "Do not let them break you. You know the truth. You feel it." Celine touched his arm, her silver glow calm but urgent. "Trust your heart, not their command. You were never meant to divide us." The council leader slammed his staff to the ground, the sound echoing like thunder. "Choose now, or face exile. Humanity will end if you defy us, and their blood will be on your hands." The man lifted his head slowly, his eyes meeting the leader's cold gaze, and then, for the first time, he spoke with no hesitate. "Ion, I will not choose one. I choose both." The chamber gasped, a storm of voices rising at once. The council members shouted in rage, their staffs sparking with energy. "Blasphemy! Betrayal! You doom us all!" they cried. The ground itself shook as if the planet reacted to his defiance. Lyra's face lit with fierce joy, her fire blazing brighter than ever. Celine's eyes filled with tears, but her silver glow grew stronger, wrapping around the man like a shield. The two sisters stepped closer to him, their lights merging for the first time. Gold and silver twined together, forming a halo of pure energy. The council leader's voice roared, "You cannot defy the order of ages. The bond of two is forbidden. The balance will break. The world will burn." But even as he shouted, fear trembled in his voice, for he could see what was awakening, and it was beyond his control. The man felt the power surge through him. It was not just Lyra's fire, not just Celine's wisdom. It was something greater, something ancient that had waited for this very moment. The bond of three, human and two sisters, unlocking what had been buried for centuries. The chamber walls cracked, light spilling from the symbols carved in the stone. Machines deep beneath the planet stirred awake, sending tremors across the city. The council members raised their staffs, hurling bolts of energy toward the man and the sisters. But the golden and silver light around them flared, swallowing the attacks, bending them away like water against rock. Lyra laughed, a sound of freedom. "For years you chained us. For years you lied. Now your lies end." Celine's voice rang out, soft but stronger than thunder. "The ancients did not fear our unity. They built it. They blessed it. Only you feared it, because united we cannot be ruled." The man raised his hand, and to his shock, the halo of light obeyed him. It expanded, pushing the council back, breaking their circle of power. The leader stumbled, his staff shattering under the force. "You fool," he screamed. "You will awaken the one enemy even we could not control." The man froze at the words, his heart twisting, but Lyra gripped his shoulder, her fire burning steady. "They are liars. Do not falter now." Celine's voice followed, calm and sure. "The only enemy here is fear, and fear has ruled them for too long." The man's choice was made, his path was sealed. He stood tall between the two sisters, their light blazing brighter than the stars. The council fled the chamber, their cries echoing down the halls. The city shook with quakes as ancient energy poured through the ground. The choice had broken the rule, and with it, the chains of silence that had bound the sisters for ages. But deep inside, the man could not forget the whispers, the warning that one day this unity might burn him. He did not speak it. Not yet. Not when the sisters looked at him with hope shining in their eyes. For now, he would carry the truth. He would carry them both. And whatever storm it brought, he would face it. The chamber cracked open above, light pouring into the sky like a beacon. Across the stars, unseen eyes turned toward Arian, drawn by the signal. The man did not know it yet, but his choice had not only defied the council, it had called something far greater, something waiting beyond the dark. The choice that broke the rule was not the end, it was only the beginning. The city of Arion trembled as if the planet itself had awakened from a long sleep. Cracks split the ground, towers shook, and the night sky burned with golden and silver light rising from the chamber. The man stood with Lyra and Celine at his side, their hands brushing his, their power flowing into him like fire and water combined. The choice had been made, the rule broken, and the bond forbidden by the council was alive at last. The people of Arion poured into the streets, staring in fear and awe at the blazing light that covered the sky. Whispers spread like wildfire. He chose both. The human defied the council. The sisters are united again. Some fell to their knees in worship. Others shouted in anger. But all knew the world had changed in a single heartbeat. Above them, the stars seemed to pulse, as though something beyond the sky had taken notice. The council retreated to their fortress, their anger echoing across the city. The leader's voice roared over the crystal towers, amplified by strange machines. Citizens of Arion, the human has broken the sacred order. The sisters are cursed. Their bond will destroy us. We must stop them before it is too late. But even as he spoke, fear cracked through his words, and the people saw it. Inside the chamber, the man felt the bond pulling stronger. When he stood close to Lyra, his body surged with strength, fire burning through his veins. When he stood close to Celine, his mind sharpened, visions flashing like lightning, paths unfolding before him. But when he stood between them both, something far greater awakened, a force that made the air itself bend to their will. Celine placed her hand on his chest, her silver eyes shining. Do you feel it, the balance of light and dark, the unity of what was divided? Lyra's golden fire wrapped around his hand, burning but not hurting. This is what they feared. This is why they lied. Together we are not weapons. We are creation itself. The ground shook harder, and the ancient machines hidden deep below began to rise. Huge pillars of crystal pushed through the earth, glowing brighter with every second. The man gasped as he saw visions flicker in the light. Cities reborn, fields of life growing, starships soaring across the galaxy once more. But then the vision twisted, flames consuming the same future. Shadows swallowing the light. The bond was powerful but unstable, dangerous if broken. Why did they forbid this? He asked, his voice heavy. Celine lowered her gaze, her voice soft. Because they wanted control, and control cannot exist when all are united. Lyra growled, her fire flaring brighter. And because they feared what else might awaken when we became whole. Before the man could ask more, the chamber doors exploded open. Dozens of armored guards stormed in, their staffs glowing with deadly light. The council leader entered behind them, his eyes burning with fury and fear. You have doomed us all, human. You have awakened what should never rise. You think this bond will save you, but it will destroy not only your kind, but ours as well. The guards raised their weapons, but Lyra stepped forward, golden fire blasting from her arms. The flames struck the guards, but instead of burning, the fire bent around them, disarming their weapons, leaving them stunned. Celine lifted her hands, and the air shimmered, turning into walls of silver light that blocked the council's attack. The man felt the energy of both sisters surging through him. His own hands began to glow, golden on one side, silver on the other, the bond flowing fully into him. The council leader staggered back, his face pale. No, it cannot be, the triad bond. It was only legend. It cannot exist. His voice cracked with terror, for he knew what the legend meant. The man's voice rang out louder than his own strength should allow. You lied, you feared, but fear ends tonight. We will not be divided. The chamber walls shook, the machines blazed brighter, and the city outside trembled like thunder. The forbidden bond was now complete, and it was rewriting the laws of power itself. But as the light surged, a strange shadow spread across the chamber walls. The sisters froze, their eyes wide. Celine whispered, her voice barely audible. It has seen us. Lyra's fire dimmed, her body tense. No, not now, not this soon. The man turned, searching the shadows. There was no figure, no body, only a darkness deeper than night. The whispers he had heard in the temple returned, louder now. You were warned, you were told, the bond is not salvation, it is the key, and now the door has opened. The council leader laughed, though his laughter was broken by fear. Fools, you think you have won, but you have only summoned what even the ancients could not defeat. The ground split open, light and shadow clashing together in violent storms. The machines roared like beasts awakening after endless sleep. The man clutched the sisters' hands, their bond pulling tighter. He felt both their fear and their strength, their sorrow and their hope. And in that moment he understood. The forbidden bond was not just about life, it was about unlocking everything, creation, destruction, and the enemy that had waited in silence. The choice he made had shattered chains, but it had also opened doors, and some doors were never meant to be opened. The city above screamed as towers fell and skies turned red with fire and shadow. The council fled, leaving their people to face the storm. The man and the sisters stood in the center of the chaos, their lights burning brighter than the darkness. Together, they had become more than weapons, more than saviors. But the question remained, were they the protectors of the galaxy, or had they just become the spark of its final war? The city of Arion was no longer calm. The towers that once stood like crystal spears now cracked under storms of light and shadow. The people ran through the glowing streets, some calling for help, others crying out in fear. Above them, the sky burned red and silver, the bond of the human and the sisters shining like a beacon, and the darkness it had awakened, answering with fury. The man held the hands of Lyra and Selene, his body trembling under the weight of the forbidden bond. Power surged through him in waves, too strong for any one human to carry. He felt Lyra's fire burning inside him, pushing him to fight. He felt Selene's calm knowledge guiding his steps, urging him not to lose himself in rage. And together, the three formed something the council had sworn must never exist. The council leader appeared again on the tallest tower, his broken staff glowing faintly. His voice boomed across the city, carried by machines of sound. People of Arion, the human has cursed us. The sisters have betrayed us. Their bond has awakened the enemy. Do not trust them. Do not follow them. But the crowd below wavered. Many no longer believed. They had seen the council's lies shatter. They had seen the sisters protect. And they had seen the human defy fear. From the cracks in the ground, shadows rose. Not like soldiers, not like beasts, but shapes made of pure darkness. They had no faces, no voices, only hunger. The whispers the man had heard in the temple now came from these shapes, louder, sharper. You are the key, you open the door, now all will fall, Lyra roared, her golden fire blazing around her fists. She leapt forward, striking the first shadow, her flames cutting through the darkness. The creature screamed without a mouth, dissolving into ash, but for every shadow that fell, two more rose from the cracks. Selene raised her hands, silver light spreading like a shield across the city streets. The people hiding behind walls looked up in awe as her barrier stopped the dark from consuming them. The man stood between the sisters, his own hands glowing gold and silver. He felt the bond pulling tighter, pushing him to act. He lifted his arms and waves of light spread outward, striking the shadows. The creatures fell back, their forms breaking under the triad's force, but each attack drained him, every blast stealing a piece of his strength. He realized that the bond gave power, but it also demanded a cost. The council leader laughed from above, his voice echoing like thunder. Do you see, human? You are not saving us. You are breaking us. The ancients feared this because they knew it would call the darkness, and now you cannot control it. The man looked up at him, his chest burning with fury. No, it is your lies that fed the darkness. Your fear kept us weak, but fear ends now. The battle spread across the city. Shadows poured through the streets like rivers, smashing through towers, chasing the fleeing crowds. Lyra fought with fire, her fists glowing like suns, striking down any creature that dared come close. Selene whispered ancient words, her light healing the wounded, guiding the lost. The man followed their rhythm, using the bond to push back the tide. Every time they fought together, their power grew stronger, but every time they separated, the shadows grew bolder. As the war raged, the people of Arion began to fight back. Some lifted weapons long hidden, others joined behind the sisters' light. For the first time, the council's grip was broken, and the people stood for themselves. The streets echoed not only with fear, but with defiance. But the shadows did not stop. From the heart of the city, a great rift opened. A massive shape rose from it, taller than towers, its body made of endless black smoke, its eyes burning like stars swallowed by night. The whispers turned into one voice, deep and thunderous. You opened the gate, and I have come. I am the silence that ends creation, and I will not be chained again." The sisters froze, their lights flickering with dread. Celine whispered, "It is the ancient enemy, the one the council feared, the one we were created to face." Lyra's fire blazed hotter, but her voice shook. "And even we may not be enough." The man clenched his fists, his heart pounding. This was the truth behind all the lies. The bond was never meant only to rebuild life. It was meant to awaken the guardian strong enough to fight this shadow. And that guardian was not Lyra alone, not Celine alone, not the human alone. It was the three of them together. The giant shadow roared, its voice shaking the city. The council leader fled his tower, his cries lost in the storm. The people screamed, many running, but some still held their ground, looking to the sisters, looking to the human. The man raised his voice, louder than he thought possible. "We are not your prey. We are not your silence. We are the bond, and together we will fight." He joined hands with Lyra and Celine. Golden fire and silver light burst from their bodies, merging into a storm of power. The air cracked with thunder. The ground split wider. The shadows hissed in pain as the triad's light spread across the battlefield. The giant creature staggered back, struck by the wave, but it did not fall. Its burning eyes glared at them, its voice booming. "You cannot destroy me, human. You are only delaying the end. The war has only begun." The bond surged stronger, brighter, but the man felt his strength tearing, his body shaking under the weight. Lyra's voice shouted through the storm, "Hold on, do not let go. We are stronger than it." Celine's voice whispered, calm but fierce, "Trust the bond, trust us, trust yourself." The war of truth had begun. The truth of the council's lies, the truth of the sisters' destiny, the truth of the human's choice. And in that truth lay the future of both races. The shadows closed in, the giant roared, and the bond blazed brighter. The outcome was unknown, but one thing was clear. The galaxy itself now waited for the answer. The city of Arion lay broken under the storm of battle. Towers of crystal leaned against the burning sky, and the ground was split into rivers of light and shadow. The people hid in silence, waiting to see if the end had come. Above it all, the man stood between Lyra and Celine, their hands joined, their forbidden bond blazing like a star. The giant shadow loomed before them, its body rising higher than the towers. Its voice echoed through the city, shaking the walls and the hearts of everyone who heard it. "You cannot destroy me, human. You cannot destroy what was born from the silence of the void." Its burning eyes glared down, filled with endless hunger. The man's body trembled under the weight of the bond. His veins glowed gold and silver, his skin burning with power that no human was meant to hold. Lyra's fire poured into him, urging him to stand, urging him to fight until the last breath. Celine's light calmed his mind, guiding him through the storm, showing him paths that were hidden in the chaos. Together they were strong, but he knew even this strength might not be enough. The giant shadow raised its arms, waves of darkness crashing toward them. Lyra roared and struck back with golden flames. Celine raised her hands and cast silver shields. The man thrust his arms forward, releasing the bond's power in a burst of light. The clash shook the ground, sparks of gold and silver colliding with the endless dark. For a moment, the city itself seemed to shatter under the force. The people of Arion stared from the ruins, their fear slowly turning into hope. They saw not monsters, not curses, but guardians standing against the void. They whispered among themselves, "The council lied. The bond is not death. It is life. It is protection." And as their voices grew louder, the bond itself grew stronger, feeding on the will of those who believed. The giant shadow stagga, red, its form breaking apart like smoke under wind. But even as it fell back, it laughed, a deep sound that shook the stars. "You may push me away, but you cannot end me. I will return, and when I do, the bond will burn you from within." The words cut into the man's mind like knives. Was it true? Would the bond one day destroy him? Destroy the sisters, destroy everything? But Lyra's hand tightened around his, her golden eyes blazing. "We do not live by fear. We live by strength. Together we are more than weapons. We are fire that cannot be put out." Celine's voice followed, soft but unshaken. "Fear is the council's chain, not ours. We are unity. We are balance. We are hope." With one final cry, the three of them unleashed their full bond. The sky exploded in gold and silver. The city lit brighter than any sun. The giant shadow roared, its body breaking apart, collapsing back into the rift from which it came. The darkness shrank, the whispers faded, and for the first time, silence filled the city. Not the silence of death, but the silence of peace. The people stepped from their hiding places, their eyes wide, their voices trembling. They bowed to the sisters and the human. some in gratitude, some in awe. Children ran forward, touching the glowing ground where the shadow had fallen, and the crowd began to chant, "Bond, bond, bond," their voices echoing through the ruins. The council did not return. Their fortress stood empty, their power broken by fear and flight. For the first time in centuries, the people of Arian looked not to rulers of lies, but to protectors who had stood with them. And the sisters knew that the age of chains was over. The man, however, felt no victory in his heart. As he stood in the broken chamber, his chest ached, his body trembling. The bond was still alive inside him, and it burned brighter than before, but with its strength came whispers still, faint but sharp. "You have won a battle, not the war. Greater eyes are watching, and they will come." That night, the people rebuilt fires to light the streets. They sang songs of survival, their voices carrying across the broken city. The man sat with Lyra and Celine, watching the stars above. For the first time, he saw them not as distant lights, but as doors waiting to be opened, doors that might lead to enemies far greater than the shadow they had faced. Lyra leaned against him, her warmth steady. "You fought like fire itself. No human could have done what you did." Celine placed her hand on his shoulder, her voice calm. "And you guided us. You made the choice that none dared to make. Without you, there would be no bond." The man smiled faintly, though his heart carried weight. "I chose both because I saw the truth. You were never meant to be divided, but I also know this is not the end. Something else is coming." The sisters exchanged a look, their eyes filled with both pride and fear. Celine whispered, "Yes, the bond has awake. And more than power, it has awakened attention. The void knows us now, and it will not rest." Lyra's fire flickered, her fists tightening. "Then let it come. We will burn it again. We will burn everything that dares to rise against us." The stars above pulsed faintly, as if in answer. A deep silence stretched across the galaxy, the kind of silence before a storm. The man felt it in his bones, a warning, a promise. The Battle of Arian was not the end. It was the beginning. He stood between the sisters, their hands in his, their bond glowing faintly but unbroken. The people cheered their names, the city slowly healed, but far beyond the stars, something vast and ancient stirred. And when it came, the bond would be tested like never before. The new beginning had arrived, but so had the shadow of what was yet to come.